Well, they closed down the mill and they closed down the mine. They said you can't work but pay your taxes on time. Got 3 little babies gonna starve to death or freeze. We started making white lightning, it was Grandpa's recipe. Run, rebel, run to nowhere. Run, rebel, run to the Scott County Jail.
Hey everyone, you are watching the Jailhouse Informant podcast, and you're locked in for the next hour with myself and my host, Dr. Christy Sumner, and we're kind of out of sorts tonight, offside.
Yeah, just a little bit. We are both in different locations tonight. I am in Florida. Tried to get back to Huntsville yesterday, but figured that that would probably not be the wisest move, considering all the weather you guys are getting right now.
Yeah, we're getting some pretty crazy weather, so hopefully I won't be. I've kind of been freezing up here with my internet service just a little bit, so bear with us if that's the case, because we've had some pretty crazy weather kicking off the year here with a lot of snow and lots of impacted travel.
Yeah. Again, that's why I'm kind of stuck down here in Florida. I'm a little bit bummed that I'm missing the snow, but hopefully I'll get to see a little bit before this season is over. But everybody who has been affected by the weather, please stay safe. If you don't have to go out, please don't go out. I know that half the country is probably inundated right now, but hopefully you're nice and warm and cozied up, getting ready to watch the Jailhouse Informant.
Yeah. So I know around the county, been seeing a lot of different reports. We got about 7 inches of snow here, and I wasn't able to get out. It came in on Sunday night, and I wasn't able to get out until yesterday, and I was only able to get out for a little bit of time because we reached freezing, and then we also had a little bit of sunlight, so things kind of melted a little bit. But today it's been much worse, and we've got a front that's coming through right now.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, the only way you were able to get out yesterday was thanks to Nancy Duncan Chambers. So, it was really great of her to take her 4-wheel drive vehicle down there and get you out of the house for a little bit and go and feed the Selly Bean and make sure she was okay. Because everybody knows we've got to check on her. So big shout out to Nancy Duncan Chambers for helping you out and helping Selly. Look, there she is.
Yeah. And if you're local in the area, everybody knows Nancy. And
Yeah.
she's all about, the history of places and the paranormal and everything. But I would say she's a local treasure. And so
She is. She is a local treasure, yes.
always helpful. I don't know of anybody that is more genuine and more helpful than Nancy.
And she's like Johnny on the spot. I mean, if there's some type of an incident or a fire or a downed power line, for some reason, Nancy is able to teleport to that location and be Johnny on the spot with either a live or updates or whatever's going on. So, again, thank you so much, Nancy, for helping Miranda out yesterday and making sure Sally was okay.
Yeah, she came all the way over here to get me. It's no secret my farm it's way back, and it's not always the easiest to get to on a good day. And so she braved the weather, got back here, and helped me out. There's a picture of the jail from yesterday. As you can
Wow.
see, the roads are still really covered there. With and I don't know what's going on behind me.
Oh my gosh.
I may have to take care of this in a second because that's making me nervous.
Yeah, underneath that cat right now, there's about 9 to 10 foot drop down in her stairwell.
Yeah, and son, we cannot get to the hospital if something happens. So, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
get off there.
if you need to grab him, go ahead and do it.
I may need to do that.
Yeah.
So anyways,
There he
okay,
goes.
good. He's gotten down. Nothing like a tragedy on live video. Um, when we're snowed in.
Right?
Okay, so yeah, so we had, technically we're closed every day during the month of January except for Saturdays. And so
Mhm.
we've actually made the decision for this Saturday because of the weather that's come through and because of the really, really cold temperatures that's coming through on Saturday. I think it's supposed to be a high of 15 and a low of -2.
Yeah.
So we've made the decision to close this Saturday.
Mhm.
I did also remove any of the tours that we had. We have tours and escape rooms open every single night, starting like 1 o'clock in the after, or actually 11 o'clock in the afternoon. We have escape rooms up until 8:30 at night, and then
Mhm.
flashlight tours at 7 through the week and 6 on the weekend. I have removed those
Yeah.
through Sunday.
Yeah.
Odds are it may be still be kind of rough on Sunday as well, but I can't get to anyone to let anyone in for a tour. So,
Yeah, so just out of, an abundance of caution, and as you can tell, this jail, she's beautiful, but man, she is hard to heat. So we do have the heater on for Sally, but it's just a really hardy thing to try to get warm. So as out of an abundance of caution, we did decide to go ahead and do that. But we will be open next week because I think the highs jump back up into what, the 50s or 60s next week.
the
So
60, yeah, by the
okay,
end of the week.
great.
So,
We'll be perfect.
um,
Do escape rooms. Come in and take a tour, flashlight tour. We got a lot going on. So
yeah, definitely come do that. Watch the schedule because the schedule is jam-packed and full.
mhm,
People have still also been booking paranormal investigations,
mhm,
and we've got dates for that open. So definitely check out our page and find your date because we are offering that special till March 10th of 2 extra hours included in your investigation, as well as 7 days a week. You can
mhm.
come and book. We've got that wide open as well as guided ghost hunts and flashlight tours as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'd love for you guys to come and experience the jail if you haven't already, or even if you have, come back and try something a little bit different. If you haven't tried the escape room, it's a lot of fun. But as you all know, we do have the Jailhouse series, where we interview jails, operators, owners, managers from across the country. In the next few weeks, we'll actually be going international. Very excited about that, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But it kind of occurred to us that we've never really sat down and talked about our jail, and because we really didn't have a guest up for tonight, we kind of wanted to sit down, talk about the historic Scott County Jail, kind of the history of the building, history of the county a little bit, and let you all know a little bit about that, and kind of what we've been doing in the last couple of years on the museum side. So that's kind of what we're planning on doing here tonight. So if you have any questions for us, please go ahead and put them up there. Yeah, just we'll kind of go into the history of it.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to kind of follow the same format as what we do with our others, where we talk about a little bit because I honestly think my favorite part about this is just seeing how all these different jails, who runs them,
Mhm.
how they're ran, and how they're different from each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm really looking forward to the next few that we're going to have where we go international, because not only are we talking about that, but we're also talking about, different criminal justice structures and different legal structures as well. So to be able to incorporate some of those into the conversation is going to be a little bit different than what we've done with those that we have just gone to different states. So we'll be able to talk about the Canadian legal structure. We'll be talking about the Australian legal structure in the UK and such as well. So very excited about that. But to your point, just to be able to see where the history is at these locations, and then couple that with, whether they become a museum or a bed and breakfast or a wine bar, or just a paranormal investigation location. All of these have their purpose, but overall, the arching theme is historic preservation and preserving these buildings from destruction. And I think, to your point, that's what's been so fascinating about it.
Yeah, and it's even fun just to see the differences between these, because they're all county jails, and to see the difference between the small town county jails and the larger city jails, of
Mhm.
just how the differences and how they impact the community themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that with the historic Scott County Jail, our jail was built in 1904. It was the county jail up until 2008. We did have both men and women there, which is a little bit different than some of the other jails that we've been speaking with. And, to your point, it was a community building, right? You either knew somebody that worked there, or you knew somebody who was incarcerated there, or, a lot of the guests that we have coming in to visit the museum were incarcerated there.
Mhm.
So it was, and still is, a county building. But everybody in the county knew about it and its importance. And I think what we're doing with the museum is kind of giving it that second life. And I know that you and I are both very proud of how we've been doing that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I say we kind of, start off, and if we have any news or anything, we covered kind of some of the news and stuff. We'll wait and we'll kind of highlight that
Mhm.
toward the end, because a lot of that kind of ties in with some of the things that we've been doing over the
Mhm.
past year. But I think, a good place to start is really kind of talking about the county itself.
Mhm.
And it's kind of what we try to do whenever we're doing these different shows, because, a lot of the time, the reason the jail is in the place that it's at, or built the way it is, in our case, built like a small castle in the middle of the mountains of East Tennessee, its significance because of a lot of the history there inside the county itself.
Mhm. Oh yeah, absolutely. So, Scott County is a very rural county, and it hasn't, changed that much. I mean, you of all people know how far back the family lineages go there in Scott County. I know Nancy Duncan Chambers and a lot of the other people who are on here in the chat room as well. I mean, they can trace their lineage back for generations in this county. And I know when people
Mhm.
come in and talk to you, you somehow find you're related, or that you went to school and grew up with a lot of the
Mhm.
individuals who are still in the county. So it's a very rural county, and it's a county that is somewhat insular in the fact that you do have these families that have been there for generations.
Mhm.
And the jail was built because in the shape that it's in, because the county wanted to project that strong stance of law and order.
Mhm.
When Huntsville became the county seat of Scott County, it was because it was one horse day's ride from every
Mhm.
part of the county. And that's why Huntsville was chosen. And they wanted that strong stance on law and order. And that's why they built it in the shape of the castle, which is, it's very unique. We're still talking
Mhm.
about it today because of just the way it looks.
Yeah, and we're uniquely placed too,
Mhm.
right there. We're right on the Kentucky line. Huntsville, as Chris said, is right there in the center of the county, and we're right there on the Cumberland Plateau. And so, if you're not really familiar there with Tennessee itself and how it's laid out, we're split into East, Middle, and West Tennessee. Of course, the eastern side's very mountainous, right there in the Appalachians, and being up on the Cumberland Plateau, we we're kind of separated,
Mhm.
from a lot, extremely rural community. And another interesting thing, we're only about 20 miles from the time zone change, which can make things a little bit interesting and confusing. But we are in Eastern time, and we are right there on that East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee line. And once you cross into Middle Tennessee and then going on into West, there's a lot of geographical changes, just with the mountains. I mean, it gets relatively flat,
Mhm.
and a lot more. There are a lot more larger cities and such as you go
Mhm.
on over to the west.
Mhm. Yeah. So, Scott County, like I said, it is a very unique county. But the really interesting thing about the jail, as we said before, is built in 1904, and it has seen a lot of changes. It's seen a lot of different historical events just within the county itself. We've had 14 sheriff's deputies killed in the line of duty, or have had an end of watch here in the county. We represent that in the museum. We have the names of all of those officers. We've had lynchings from the jail. We've had a sheriff murdered inside the jail. We've had natural deaths occurring as well. But all of these have had different interesting historical impacts, both on the county and the building itself, which is kind of unique.
Hmm. The jail has also seen, they've, of course, now this is technically the third jail that was
Mhm.
built. Our judicial system did start, or our sheriffs, we had our first sheriff there in 1850. The county was established in 1849. And so Sheriff Lou Allen, he was our first sheriff, and he was elected there in 1850. And during this time with our county, we're really unique because at one point in time there in 1861, we did actually declare our independence from the state of Tennessee. Whenever the state of Tennessee seceded from the Union there during the Civil War, we actually seceded from the state of Tennessee and formed our own state, the free and independent state of Scott. And that actually caused two minor skirmishes, the Battle of Huntsville Mountain and the Battle of Brimstone, to be fought there in Scott County itself.
Mhm.
And so, uniquely enough, this was only supposed to be for just a few hours. Nashville really didn't want to recognize that, but they did actually end up not welcoming us back until 1986 when they had the
Mhm.
great homecoming.
Yep.
So we are only one of three counties here in the United States. The other two are down in Alabama. That's known as an enclave state, and it's really unique to that past and to that heritage that a lot of people they don't really know about.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think there was such an opportunity lost because
Mhm.
your birth certificate should have said free and independent state of Scott. And I'm so bummed that it doesn't. So, but as Miranda said, it really technically on paper was the free and independent state of
Yeah.
Scott from 1861 all the way up until 1983, or 86, sorry.
Yeah.
And, I just it's one of those very unique things about Scott
Mhm.
County, and that's really one of the things that we wanted to highlight when we opened the museum and opened the jail back up for as a tourist location in 2021. Really wanted to highlight these unique historical events, not only things like that, but also, as I said before, recognize our sheriffs, deputies, and our law enforcement officials who have played such a great role in Scott County. We had one sheriff who was killed right outside the front door of the jail in 1925. That was Sheriff Richard Ellis. So obviously we talk about him a great deal on our historical tours and on our audio tours. And, we really recognize him as well as all of the other sheriffs, like I said, deputies who've been killed in the line of duty there. So very unique history with regard to just Scott County and the jail itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And the jail, it is mined from locally mined sandstone. And originally, when it was built, it was only 2 stories. It was still built in that castle shape, but it was only 2 stories. The second floor, which is now the trustee floor, was maximum security. And so then in 1922, when we had a fire in a neighboring building, it did catch the second floor on fire. They did go in, repair that, decided they needed to add more space. And so they added the third floor, which is maximum security, which ended up bringing the capacity up to 50 inmates to one jailer.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's really, if you haven't been to the Scott County Jail, it's very interesting. We do have that trustee level on the second floor, which are large open dorm style cells that fit, more comfortably those trustee inmates who are trusted to do things. But then you get up to that third level, as Miranda was talking about, that is maximum security, and it's a typical looking jail, but it still has the manual lock and keys. It doesn't have any type of automated system or anything to open the cell doors. So it's very strategic how the cell doors have to open. And that was designed to protect the jailer and the sheriff that would come in and deal with the inmates. So, a lot of thought went into how this maximum security level was going to be built and how it's structured, and the security mechanisms behind it. It was built with bars that were designed after Alcatraz, which is kind of interesting. We have some different security features up there that we share with you on the tour and such as well, because we did have violent offenders in there, murderers, rapists, hard drug offenders, those that were being held over to go to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. So it is a proper maximum security level up on that third floor.
Yeah, it really is. And it is surprising when you start looking at some of those little features that we have, as far as the triple doors there going into the jailer's walk and the cell blocks. How no two doors can be open at one time.
Mhm.
And the measures that were taken to essentially set this up as an escape proof fortress, is really fascinating. And again, those are some of the different things that we do cover on those tours. And some investigators and stuff have even gotten responses relating to that type of those type of structures that are in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that's kind of interesting, and again, we talk about this in depth to the paranormal investigators and the tours as well. But there was a time when the jail actually shut down. In the early 1970s, they actually moved into what they called the new jail. They moved all of the inmates over, and that's when the jail was put on the National Register of Historic Places in 1974, because it was technically closed at that point. However, the new jail, there were inmates who kept escaping. So they had 5 escapes in just a few years, just in the about 4-year time frame. So they moved all of the inmates back, and that's when the restructuring of that third floor maximum security level had to be done. So that's why it is, when you go up, like I said, it looks like that proper maximum security, because they were very staunch on the fact that nobody was going to escape from the fortress or the castle in Scott County.
Exactly. And just kind of looking over here at some of the questions and stuff. Jim Cody says, can you discuss the devil of Scott County? That's actually one of our popular questions that we do get. And if you've been into the jail, you have seen the big giant poster that's up of the Scott County Devil, or more specifically, the Helenwood Devil. And so we always say that's kind of one of our local cryptids. And we've even got the newspaper articles. That's what I love about this, is because there's the newspaper articles from 1921 that go along with this poster. But the picture, it actually shows this devil that was unearthed from Cruz Sexton's property. He's from the area known as Helenwood, which is about 1 mile to 2 miles from the jail. And so it's said that back in 1921, he unearthed this devil from his property, a cave on his property. And the devil's described as being a 6'4" giant with wings, oversized hands, oversized teeth. And, he's just... I love that they said he was a giant, and so, and 6'4". I mean, that's really not that huge, but you've got these men that's standing beside of this picture, and he's inside of this box. And so the picture was taken there at the Helenwood Depot. And the story goes that after he unearthed this, they did set it up at the Helenwood Depot, and they charged folks $0.25 to see it whenever they would get off the train, which back in the 1920s, that was pretty expensive to see this devil. It stayed there at the Helenwood Depot until until the depot closed, which would have been there in the 1960s. And then it started showing up at different carnivals and fairs, especially there in the Kentucky area. And so it hasn't been seen since the early 1980s, but a lot of people come to the area in search of the Scott County Devil. So I love that the stories report on this, or the newspaper report on
It
it.
is. It is pretty cool. And to Miranda's point, we have a large poster that's sitting up on that's hung up on there in our second story. And it's quite funny because we're given the tour and the history of the jail, and then people turn around and they come around the corner and boom, there's the Scott County Devil or the Helenwood Devil that's just boom right there. And so it makes for a fascinating story because, as Miranda said, nobody knows where it's at. It made an appearance at the World's Fair in Chicago, the early '80s, and it hasn't been seen since. And so it is one of those interesting local legends and lore and cryptids, because nobody knows where it ended up going to, but people really seem to enjoy that story.
Yeah, and he's some of the family have come in. I know Cruz Sexton's it's either nephew or great
Nephew, I
nephew.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's come in and he was talking about it. A lot of people ask, was it real? What was this? Whether it was an elaborate hoax that Cruz himself made there inside of the cave, not really sure, but we do know that he did spend time over in Asia there and became real enamored with the way that they made their statues and that sort of thing. So whether he made it or whether he found it, not really 100% sure. I guess only he will know of that. But either way, it's
Quite the capitalist,
fascinating.
though, right?
Exactly. They're in the 20s building this thing, that
Hmm.
it's pretty cool, and everybody knows about it. It's been
Hmm.
one of those things a lot of the old timers in the area always talked about it. My grandma would talk about it, dad, and everybody knew the story about the Scott County Devil, and then even people from surrounding communities. A lot of them that did ride the train actually saw it when it was there in the depot.
Hmm. Yeah. So again, one of the local legends here, and Scott County is chock full of them. The lights. Why does it escape me now? The name of the lights.
Oh, the Vanderpool.
Yeah, thank you. The
Vanderpool lot.
Vanderpool lights, and some different things like that. So there are a lot of cryptid and legends that surround Scott County, and we just happen to feature the devil there at the jail.
Absolutely. And let's see here. I'm looking to pull some photos up here, so bear with me.
Hmm.
Like Chris mentioned, she mentioned about Sheriff Richard Ellis, who was killed there. He was elected sheriff in 1920, and he was killed there in 1925.
Hmm.
He's one of the stories that we share. A lot of our early inmates, especially there when the jail, this particular jail was built, and then up probably I would say through the 60s, a lot of those early inmates were moonshiners and
Hmm.
ridge runners. And so Sheriff Ellis, he was very staunchly against that. And he was killed right there at the front door. We won't go into the whole story on that because you'll hear that if you come and do an investigation or come and do a tour of the jail. But he was killed, and he's one of our resident spirits
Hmm.
that we do see on all three floors, as well as have a lot of intelligent and residual activity
Hmm.
from Sheriff Ellis.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of the things, we'll obviously get into some of the paranormal just a little bit here as well. But one of the interesting things about our jail is the paranormal activity didn't start when the jail closed. There were reports of different things happening even when the jail was in operation as the jail. I mean, we've had former inmates come and tell us that they saw things and heard things. We've had former deputies and jailers come and tell us that they saw things and heard things inside the jail that they couldn't explain. One of the current detectives, that is a Scott County deputy there, she came and talked extensively about how all the paperwork on her desk one night was just swept off the desk in front of her. She was sitting at the desk, and it's like something took an arm and just shoved everything off of her desk. So that's really kind of interesting about the jail. And I think the owners and managers that we've spoken to at the other jails, they have similar stories. It doesn't just start once the jail closed. And I do think that Richard Ellis is one of those that kind of makes his presence known. And I think he, at least in since 2021 when we opened the museum, I think he's pretty proud of what we've done with it, and how we've kind of
Mhm.
managed his location.
Mhm. And just looking over here, Chad Reynolds asked, "Is the jail heated and have running water?"
Mhm.
Absolutely. It's actually quite a comfortable place to investigate. Obviously, we are in a stone building. The stone tends to hold a lot of the cold in, but we do have heat on all 3 floors. We got a bathroom there. A lot of people actually enjoy going to the bathroom there because it is one of our former drunk tanks, and you do get to use one of the old jail toilets and sinks whenever you're in there. So a lot of people go in there, and then also it is actually one of our more active areas when it comes to the paranormal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, like we said, it really is chock full of history. From Richard Ellis being killed there in 1925, to the lynchings that we have had occur inside the jail as well. We do highlight those on the tour, and we do tell paranormal investigators about those. But and I think that's one of the reasons why we have such a lot of activity inside the jail. First of all, it is made of sandstone, like Miranda said. Sandstone does have quartz in it, so we are pretty much sitting in a vast energy vortex, if you will. There's running water directly behind it in the form of the river, and so we do think that kind of plays into it as well. Miranda just put up on the screen here a photo of Jerome Boyett. He was one of the inmates who was lynched from the jail in 1933, and we tell his story extensively, from all various angles, and we do think that he pops around from time to time as well.
And a lot of these stories that we're talking about, everything from our fallen officers to the free and independent state of Scott to the lynchings and stuff that we've had there, we have covered a lot of these more extensively on different episodes. I know we had the author J.H. Gason that talks about the Jerome Boyett slaying. We've highlighted our specific officers who were killed in the line of duty there at during Law Enforcement Appreciation Week. So definitely encourage you guys to go back and watch some of these past episodes where we've covered some of these topics in more detail, and also some of them where we cover these other jails that that we've been highlighting every single week. So you can find all of those on the Historic Scott County Jail YouTube page, or also on our website, or throughout Facebook as well.
Absolutely. So kind of, how did we get to this spot? So as we said before, the jail was built in 1904. It was in operation as the county jail until 2008. And then after it closed in 2008, it really sat vacant until 2017, when Scott County gave the jail to the town of Huntsville. And now Huntsville did get a tourism grant to repaint and add new windows and such. But then it actually sat vacant again from 2017 to 2021. Now, Miranda and we are both paranormal investigators, and we met through the paranormal and became fast friends. And Miranda is Scott County native. As I said before, she can trace her lineage back to pretty much the dawn of time there in Scott County. And so, with everything that happened with COVID and all of that, it was just an interesting time for us to kind of come together and open this museum, what we call a historical museum and a paranormal research location. So, we came up with a business plan, we came up with our marketing strategy, and kind of what we wanted to do to build an actual business outside of just doing paranormal investigations. We wanted something that we could have a brick and mortar location that we knew had paranormal activity, and kind of grow from there. And Dennis Jeffers, the mayor of Huntsville, and the alderman there were gracious enough to agree to our business plan. And so we do rent the jail from the town of Huntsville. But the business actually pays for all of the operating expenses. And so then we opened it up as again, paranormal research center and historic museum.
Yeah, true crime museum. Lots and lots of folks in the community have come together and donated different items that we highlight in the jail. We also have lots and lots of newspaper articles in there. And that's one of the things we really pride ourselves on when we're doing these tours and telling these stories is, take the lynchings, for example. We know of 6 that happened there. It is believed that there were more, but we stick to right now until we find more information on some of these, i.e., newspaper articles, death certificates, and that sort of thing. That's what we highlight when we're telling these stories. We stick to the historical information that has either been donated to us, put on loan, or that we have found and is there in the museum. And we take a lot of pride in that because you don't see that a lot when you come to a lot of these locations. When you investigate or when you come for the tour, you could spend a full day as far as the tour in there just reading articles and really looking at the artifacts and stuff that we have. It's almost overwhelming just how much information, and you don't always see that at some of these locations when you come in to investigate. You don't always get because if you want history, we can absolutely talk your ear off when it comes to this history and share that. If you want it, we've got it. And that's something I think we're really proud of.
Yeah, and absolutely. And that's what we really wanted to do, right? We wanted to have this building essentially come back to life, not only from the paranormal standpoint, but also from the historic standpoint. I love when people from the community come in and they see what we've done and say, I never knew that y'all had this, right? Or I remember this when they're reading a newspaper article from the 1950s or the 60s or 70s. Like, I remember when that happened, or I went to school with this person, or I knew this family, they were my neighbors, and they really fill in. A lot of our guests have really filled in those historical gaps for us, with regard to a lot of the stories that we have put up. So there you go. We were gifted thousands of newspapers. Really, we have several from the 1920s and 30s, but most of them are from the 1960s to the early 2000s. So we have these up. A lot of them we are going to be displaying more of them. We have a rotating schedule as well, where we rotate things out depending on what we're talking about or what we want to highlight. But that's really what we wanted to do. We wanted the building and the history to be the forefront of everything that we have done and what we've done, built. And that's what I think we're very proud of. And it really is an interesting way to showcase what has happened in Scott County.
And that's just one load of the
Yeah,
newspapers.
that's just one load. Yeah, we actually had 3 of those, I think, 3 or 4.
Oh, there was even more than that, I think. And like Chris said, we're constantly working on new exhibits and stuff to add. With just the two of us, it's a lot to keep up with everything we're doing. But we're constantly having people come in sharing stories and sharing about their experiences, because at one point in time, the jailer and his family did live there in the bottom of the jail. They lived there from 1904 until the mid 1970s, after the jail opened back up. After it had moved from the other location, opened back up, they no longer lived on site, but full-scale families that lived there. And we've had people who have given us pictures of what it looked like whenever they were there. We're working on displays that show that, because that's just another side of that history that is so interesting, because you have this family dynamic that grew up inside of the jail, and then also their relationship. Kids have come in that are now adults, shared stories of where they could go inside the jail, learning to color Easter eggs, playing hide and seek inside
with
the
inmates
elevator system. Yeah. And photos of certain inmates who were allowed to eat breakfast with them down in the kitchen. Just a lot of really great stories that have come from inside the jail, just showing just how much of a community building and how important it was to the area. And we're really excited to create these displays, and hopefully we'll have those here kicking off early part of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also like to say that it's a great historical location, but it's a small location that has a large paranormal punch as well. We've had people come in that say, I don't really believe in this stuff, but when I went up on the second floor, I heard a woman say hello. We've had sheriff deputies that came back that actually worked in the jail that have come in and said, I don't believe in the paranormal, but when I worked here, the elevator would start running on its own. We heard footsteps on the back stairwell. I was in the elevator by myself and something coughed in my ear. Those stories, they're rampant throughout everything that we've done. We've had people come in, and it's funny because they always lead with, I really don't believe in that, but I can't explain what happened in this building. I can't explain why this shadow figure chased me off the third floor or why this door opened on its own. So again, to me, that is what's really cool about all of what we're doing here. And in some cases, we have the building kind of given history itself, kind of telling us some different stories.
And there's a lot that did believe in it, that
Mhm.
was there, that comes in and says, I mean, that they do believe and that they had experienced this stuff while they were there, whether it was inmates or people who worked there. There's also deputies who come in that say that have investigated in there since
Mhm.
it had closed down, and some of the experiences that they had while they were investigating in there, or
Mhm.
even just sitting across the street, hearing
Yeah.
screams come from within, seeing full body apparitions on
Mhm.
the fire escape, or
Yeah.
walking through the jail whenever because they used to leave the lights on before
Yeah.
we came in, and it was not uncommon for people who worked at 911 to look out across the street and see a shadow or somebody walk across the jailer's walker in one of the stairs.
Mhm.
And I love it when somebody decides that they wanna come forward and share their story because maybe they weren't sure what they were experiencing and it kinda troubled them, and then to share and realize they're not alone in a lot of the stuff they experience there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm watching the people over in the comment section, and again, thank you all for joining us tonight and being with us. And I see Departed Souls Paranormal, Leanne, Lisa, Chris. All of these people have been there, and they've had these experiences too. And for us, it's just validating not only the history part, but also that these great paranormal investigators are coming to this location and they're actually having contact with our spirits, and that again is really neat and interesting in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we kinda transition just a little bit and
Mhm.
talk a little bit about that paranormal,
Yes.
and then we talk a little bit about some of the exciting things that's happened, and then what's coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any of the things queued up at all, or?
Yeah, yeah, you just tell me where to go. You lead right there. I've got some things queued up here.
Well, you tell me which ones you've got, and then we can set it up.
Well, on the paranormal, let me pull up here. I did pull up, Sheriff Ellis's picture just a little bit earlier, and he is one of the folks that we do get a lot of activity from there at throughout the entire jail.
Mhm.
Um, I think we just kind of, I think we share our. Actually, I'm looking for it now. I thought I had it a second ago. Our shadow figure that.
Oh, the picture.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So we'll set this up. So one of the things that we do at the jail, aside from paranormal investigations and the flashlight tours, we do offer guided ghost hunts. So as I said before, both Miranda and myself are paranormal investigators, and so we have the opportunity for individuals who have an interest in the paranormal but not necessarily have a team or anything like that to come and investigate with Ghost Biker, i.e. Miranda, or Soul Sisters Paranormal, me. So we bring out all of our equipment. We sit for 3 hours inside the jail. We try to communicate with our spirits, kind of show them how a proper paranormal investigation is run, and kind of give them a paranormal 101. So we had a few ladies one night. I had several of them upstairs with me, and Miranda had two of them downstairs in our intake area, which is where the drunk tanks are. Now, Miranda had put a REM pod inside the drunk tank, which is our current working bathroom, and they started playing music, which is a trigger item, a very big trigger item there inside the jail. And the REM pod started alarming, like something was acting on it. So one of the ladies who was standing with Miranda takes out her phone and she takes 3 quick pictures right in a row. Boom, boom, boom. And this is what we've captured.
It's going slow. I'm scrolling here. I've got it pulled. Bear with me here.
Wait with bated breath, everybody.
Yes. Let's see here. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. So we do show these on the tour, and it's fascinating to watch people's reaction to this because it's something that we cannot explain. We try to debunk this. Every time we capture something at the jail, Miranda and I, we will go back and try to debunk it. Do different experiments, try to recreate the exact same conditions that were there when the event occurred and we captured it. This one, we cannot debunk. We have no explanation for what caused this to be captured on the camera.
We've gone in, we've analyzed, and really hawked over these images.
Mm-hmm.
And as investigators, we always tell people, like Chris said, to take 3 photos at one time. I'm gonna actually zoom in on. Oops,
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me pull it up to full screen here.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you're looking at is we have 2 drunk tanks right there. They're small holding cells, and so you'll see that there's a bed there, there's the toilet, and then that little thing.
Maybe take your cursor and circle the toilet so people kind of know where it's at.
Let me know if you can see my cursor, because
So point to the toilet so everybody can see it. Okay, so that's the toilet. Up there is a paper towel holder, and there's a bunk inside there, a concrete bunk. And then also what we're seeing here is the door frame looking into that drunk tank. So again, the lady took 3 quick pictures when the REM pod started alarming. This is number 1. This is number 2. And this is number 3.
Now, a couple things that's interesting about this is, so out of the 6 people that were there that night, they weren't seasoned investigators. They had not investigated before. And the lady who captured these pictures, this was her first time. And by the end of the night, she actually showed us her camera, and she's like, "Hey, I think I caught something."
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to see those there in the moment there. And so she sent them to us. And we did a lot of analyzing on these photos, went in and ran them through some different tests. Other folks have looked at them, and they're not able to debunk that.
Can you scroll in just a little bit more? Can you get it a little bit bigger?
Probably.
If not, no big deal. But what's interesting is it completely blocks out the toilet. It blocks out the paper towel holder. And it only happened for the door. Yeah, and it only happened for this split second when she took that 3rd picture. Now, we do think that this is Richard Ellis. Richard Ellis was 6'8". He was a very tall gentleman. This is a 7-foot door. So if that shadow figure was kind of standing up a little bit, we do think it'd put it right at that 6'8" mark. And again, this is something that we cannot debunk. To Bob's comment here, we do think he's kind of stooped over. It looks like he has something in his hand. Obviously that is a little more blurry. So we really can't tell, but it definitely looks like he has something in his hand for sure.
Mm-hmm. And also you got to realize too, that we're looking at this on Facebook. Facebook compresses the images, which makes it a little grainier. And so the actual images that we have, they're much clearer and stuff. So, and which again, we do show. And so, it's one of my favorite things there, because different teams, Paranormal Quest was recently here, got a lot of activity there in that same area relating to Sheriff Ellis. A lot of the other folks who are in the chat room that have investigated there have gotten corroborating activity there in that area that fits a lot of what we suspect, and a lot of things that have we have captured as well as other teams. So
Yeah, absolutely. Vicky Norris got a great AVP there as well. And we share this with you on the flashlight tour, as well as when you come and do a paranormal investigation. We share all of these with you as well. But, it is, as Miranda said, it is an area where things happen. The drunk tank, we do know of one person that did commit suicide in there, and there was a lot of energy in that room because it was also the solitary confinement cell. If you were unruly upstairs, they'd bring you down and put you in this holding cell for hours at a time by yourself. And so there is a lot of energy, a lot of emotion that these walls actually saw. That to us, that's a great capture. We're really excited about that. And then we have some more as well. If you want to pull up and maybe do one more.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I just kind of want to hit on this.
Yeah,
What
there you go.
Jill says. Jill and several of the other ladies there from Morgan County ended up taking a tour there of the jail. And of course, in the women's section, they absolutely love it when we play music up there. And they've gotten used to it with our teams and then with our flashlight tours and guided ghost hunts. What I love about what Jill is mentioning is now we'll play pre-downloaded music, and there's certain songs, especially Amazing Grace, that they absolutely love there, and they love the Pentatonics version.
Weird, right?
Yeah, Jill and I mean, who doesn't?
You're right.
And so Jill and the other ladies, amazing singers. We had no
Yes.
idea about this, and as we mentioned that they like this music, the three ladies break out into 3-part harmony.
It was awesome.
And the kind of harmony that gives you chills and makes you want to tear up. It was so beautiful. And our spirits must have enjoyed it too, because all of the tools that we had sitting there in that little session that we were doing during the flashlight tour were going off. And no phones were on, no music was playing. This was just people singing. And that's something that a lot of our teams have gotten when we tell them about it. If there's people who play instruments or sings, they'll go up, do that. And the activity is really cool when that happens, just from just human activity.
Yeah. And it really is. And music, as investigators, I know Ghost Biker and Soul Sisters, we use music routinely because it is one of those things where it crosses boundaries, right? When you hear Amazing Grace, it's the same words and the same notes that they were hearing in the 50s and the 40s and the 30s, or Beethoven, right? You're hearing the same music that Beethoven was playing when he composed it. And so it's something that crosses those timelines, if you will. And I think that's why it's so important when we use it at the jail, because it's something that we can connect with our spirits on, and they love it. As Miranda said, Amazing Grace is one of those key trigger songs. But Dolly Parton gets some hits. Copperhead Road.
So any kind of Southern rock.
Southern rock, Southern gospel. I mean, these are just
classic
really
country.
Cool, just really cool trigger items. So
Yeah.
remember that if you're a paranormal investigator coming to the jail.
Absolutely. Bring your guitar or harmonica or anything like
banjo.
that. If you play an instrument, bring it. I think I need to add that to the website, because it's really kind of a random thing. Most people aren't like, oh, let me just go get my ukulele out of the car. Most people don't think about that. But the acoustics are fantastic.
That's why Ben Fuller loved it.
Yeah, we've had some music videos filmed there, and Ben will every now and then he'll put out videos of himself just sitting there singing, and like Wayfaring Stranger and some of those songs. Oh my gosh, to hear that being sung in the jail. I mean,
it is really cool.
If a spirit don't react to it, if Chris and I are working that night, we'll sit there and we'll give it a listen.
Yeah.
But I mean, lots of activity. It really runs the gamut, and it's been very active lately, especially with the cold and the activity there. So we definitely welcome folks if you're interested. If you're not a paranormal investigator and want to join us on one of our guided ghost hunts, we would love to take you and introduce you to our resident spirits. And if you're a paranormal investigator that is looking to investigate somewhere that's not overly investigated. I mean, we've had quite a few teams there so far, but it's not overly investigated, and there's always something new. Our spirits love sharing their stories, so we'd love to have you out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're coming to the top of the hour here, so we'll just kind of wrap it up. If anybody has any questions, just go ahead and throw them up kind of while we're talking. But, as Miranda said, we have a lot of things coming up. Earlier last year, we actually formed a partnership with Historic Rugby Incorporated. So we have so many things going on with them. It is such an amazing partnership. The people over at Rugby, the citizens or the residents there in the village are just amazing people. So we have guided ghost hunts with them. We've got ghost walks. We've got paranormal investigations. We have some things that we can't talk about yet that are coming up here in a couple of months that we're very, very excited about with regard to Rugby. So please go to our website, check out all the stuff we've got going on there. If you want to investigate both locations, it makes for a great weekend to investigate Rugby and then investigate the jail, or vice versa. You can actually lodge at Rugby. You can stay in one of the houses that was built in the early 1880s, and we can kind of help you, guide you through that booking process and get you set up with an investigation as well as lodging. So reach out to us on that. We have
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna kinda talk about a few of these things we've done,
Yeah, go
but
ahead.
no. No, go on. I
No,
was just
go,
gonna
go,
say the
go.
partner. Yeah, so with that partnership, we've we've had a lot of stuff filmed there at the jail. We're very excited. The jail is gonna be featured in season 3 of Haunted Discoveries, which, if you're familiar with them, Brandon Alvis and Mustafa Galilori, Kevin Oat, those guys, they're incredible. You may have seen Brandon and Mustafa there on A&E's Ghost Hunters. And so season 3, not quite sure when that's coming out. I know Chris and I have seen preview. We don't know all the evidence that was captured, but we did see that. So that's really cool that that was filmed there at the jail. And as well as multiple news organizations and documentaries and such have been there to film as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we were able to get some really cool accommodations or certificates of recommendation accommodations from the Tennessee Association of Museums. So we're really proud of that. That happened last year. I will actually be speaking at the 2024 Tennessee Association of Museums conference that will be held in March. So I was invited to speak on paranormal or after dark tourism. So I'm very excited about that. So we'll keep you posted on that. And so, yeah, we just had a lot of cool things. Of course, we mentioned before Ben Fuller. He is one of the top Christian recording artists. He's signed with Sony. And he came and did his music videos for Chasing Rebels at the historic Scott County Jail. And this was such a fun video shoot. Unfortunately, I could not be there, but Miranda got to witness the full day of shooting for a music video.
Yeah, that was really fun. And we still have people come in today that we actually had a guy that came in and did our escape room. He was probably one of the last people that did the escape room this year. And we did make a post about him, but they play this song in Jailhouse Ministries as well as at a lot of the churches around. And so he was really excited to made the trip over to the area just to see where the video had been filmed. So it was one of his favorite songs. We also have a lot of school groups that come in, criminal justice classes and such there come in and learn about not only the way things are done in that system, but also the way we specifically have done them in the past there at the jail. And it's always cool to share that history with these school groups that come in.
Yeah. And of course, we have our gift shop. Currently, the hot selling item is our Paw and Order shirt featuring the great Miss Sally. If you don't know, Sally is our jail cat. She is basically the director of customer relations. And so she has her own T-shirt, and people absolutely love it. In fact, we have a fan club in Sweden, and they just all received their shirts this week. So we'll be posting a picture picture of the group of Selly supporters that are over there in Sweden. Hopefully I'll be posting that next week. Of course, we've been featured several times on HTC Magazine there in Scott County and the neighboring counties. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, and again, had the opportunity to work with teachers and school systems. This was an event that was done there with, it was the, correct me if I'm wrong.
Tennessee State Museum.
Yes, yes, the Tennessee State Museum, where they had school teachers from all around the area in surrounding counties to come, and they got to learn about paranormal tourism, historic tourism, that what we're doing, and then they hosted their workshop there and ended up getting a tour of the jail.
Not sure what that face I'm making is, but we'll move on. We've been featured on several newscasts as well. This was at WATE there in Knoxville. So we actually have been in studio several times there where they've highlighted us, the jail, Huntsville. It's kind of what we're doing at the jail. So we're really excited about that. And, we've got some great supporters in the broadcast area in Knoxville, WATE, WBIR, et cetera. So we do thank them for those shout outs and partnerships.
Yep. And then this past year, we started really kind of traveling to different events. Now, Chris and I travel with Ghost Biker and with Soul Sisters. And we always make sure whenever we're traveling with our own personal stuff that we are highlighting the jail. But we've kind of picked that up and sort of had a mobile setup where we do at different festivals and events around the area, not just in East Tennessee, but all over. You'll sometimes see us over at Rugby. You'll sometimes see us at different festivals and events where we're not only highlighting the jail, but also highlighting our After Dark tours with historic Rugby.
Yep, absolutely. So, and we also have an escape room. So if you have not done the escape room, it's very cool. We put you in an inmate uniform, so it's fully immersive. You get 60 minutes to try to bust out of our maximum security level upstairs. It's a lot of fun. And this is something that we will be continuing with this theme, but we also have another one in the works as well. So it's been in the works for a few months, longer than I anticipated, but we will have another escape room open at some point.
And again, just doing some different new stuff. We also host motorcycle rides out of the jail, and we're going to be having a lot more of those coming up this year, where we visit some other different local attractions, eat at some of the wonderful local eateries in the surrounding areas, and really just get to know a lot of our bikers and share the history in a unique and different way. So stay tuned for some more of those. That's going to be coming up here very, very soon.
Yep. And of course, what Jill is referring to right now is the episode of Tennessee Crossroad. They did film an episode at the jail. It is currently starting right now on the PBS Nashville station. It will be airing on their YouTube channel as well. We have posted the links on our Facebook page, and I think Miranda and I both shared it to our personal pages. So if you'd like to watch the episode of Tennessee Crossroads, again, that's Joe Elmore. If you want to watch the episode of that, please go do so. We really appreciate the support of that.
Yeah, and like Chris said, if you're not local, you can go and watch that in several other places. It will be airing on the East Tennessee Public Broadcasting Channel at 8:30 p.m. And that is the full episode. But the actual, if you just want to see the highlighted version, I think that was dropping there on YouTube. And we do have the links and stuff on that on the jail's Facebook page, as well as our personal Facebook pages as well.
And, last but not least, we could not have done this or continue to do this without the support of you guys. In the comment section, the paranormal investigators who have investigated, the people who have come in for a day tour, those that have done the escape rooms, you are what allow us to do what we do. And it's so exciting every time somebody comes in the door to share our knowledge of the jail of Scott County, to, share our knowledge of the paranormal. And we absolutely love it. So we cannot thank you enough for allowing us to be so successful over the last 2 years. And as I said at the top of the hour, we've got a really cool announcement that we're going to make next week. We wanted to make it this week, but we're just just right there. So we will be making it next week. I think everybody will be really excited about it. And then, like I said, the next couple of Jailhouse Informants are going to be fantastic. We will be going international. So excited to talk to the jails in Canada and Australia that we have lined up. So you're really not going to want to miss the next few episodes.
Yeah. And, you guys have got some amazing comments over
Mhm.
here in the comment section, and we really, really appreciate that. We appreciate your support as far as the fact that you watch and listen to us, talk for this hour. We try to be inclusive and, also, any questions. If there are any topics or anything that you would like to see, or a jail in your area
Yes.
that maybe we're not aware of, please reach out to us,
Mhm.
because we would love to highlight them or highlight your topic there on the show. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and just keep it coming. Share it out, and come on out and see us there at the jail. We would love to have you out there to go on a tour, or to again, like I said, introduce you to our resident spirits.
Yeah, absolutely. And Laura, I'm not escaping the snow. I can't get back to it. So I was told that the streets there in Huntsville and Scott County are pretty much impassable. So I was all geared up to go back to Tennessee yesterday, but I was kind of cautioned to kind of hold off a few more days, which is understandable. But in all seriousness, y'all please be safe out there. I know that, like I said, half the country is socked in with cold weather and ice and snow and sleet and freezing rain. If you do not have to go out, please don't. Just stay warm. If you do have to go out, please proceed with caution, because we love you all, and we want you all to be safe.
Yeah. And again, check out that Tennessee Crossroads video that is airing now. And we will be sharing it here on the page. But that one, being a Tennessee native, that's a show I've grown up on. And seeing these different locations, I never thought that they would be coming and highlighting one that we co-own and run in there. So we're really excited about it, and hope you all enjoy it as well.
Yep. All right, everybody, be safe. Go check out Tennessee Crossroads, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.